You are listening to the Hemp Startup Journey. My name is Jason De Los Santos, co-founder of Spectrum Labs, a hemp extraction facility in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm sitting down with hemp entrepreneurs, scientists, and politicians willing to share their perspectives, lessons learned, and how we can make an impact on the hemp and cannabis industry for everyone. Jade and Harlee, thank you so much for joining me today on the Hemp Startup Journey. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, super excited to have you guys. First of all, this is the first time I'm having two guests on at the same time. Yes, so let's see how it goes. Like it might break down or it might be amazing.
We'll shoot for him.
That's right. All right, so one of the first, I'll talk in a second about why I wanted to have you both on. But one of the first questions that I like to start off with is, and you can, whoever wants to go first, is if you're at a party or a networking event or some sort of a gathering and you meet someone and they say, oh, well, hey, nice to meet you. What do you do? Like, how do you respond to that?
Do you want to go first, Jay? Yeah, so I say that I co-own a creative agency, and it's a cannabis and hemp-based creative agency, and we have a line of products called Lady J's. And yeah, it just kind of stems from, get into the THC side of our Lady J's, the hemp side of our Lady J's. And, but yeah, it all starts with the umbrella. Ladies of Paradise is a creative agency at its core.
Okay, cool. Harlee, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like I always talk about like being the creative director and photographer for Ladies of Paradise, because that's like a lot of what I do and a lot of what I love to do so much. I'm getting to like get groups of people together. Well, in the before times, get groups of people together and create really beautiful art for brands that want to market towards women.
Awesome. So when I was researching you guys, I had a difficult time at first of trying to figure out like what is Ladies of Paradise, right? Because it seems like you do so much, which is amazing. But I'd love to hear in your own words, like what exactly is it? Because you have a lot of different aspects to your organization.
So I would say at the edge of everything, that we're a creative agency that's really female centric and cannabis centric. So we'll do any kind of creative work, videography, photography. We've thrown immersive marketing, like events in the past, basically anything that's forward facing for a company, brands, website, just anything developing that aren't the inner workings of the brand, that are going to be what anyone else that's walking up and seeing your product or, using your product is gonna see, basically.
Okay. How did you guys meet, by the way? What was the catalyst for starting this company?
We met on Instagram. Yeah, we met when I moved up from LA, actually, and I was shooting for Ladies of Paradise before it is what it is today. It was a jewelry and accessories company, and I moved up from LA to Oregon and needed some people to shoot with because I was just constantly working with creatives in Los Angeles and was moving to like a really small town and didn't know anybody. And so I just looked to Instagram to see what people were doing out there. And I found Harlee, and then so she owned a vintage company at the time. And so I was like, hey, we should shoot together. She was doing all these really beautiful creative shoots that were really my style. And so, yeah, we decided to meet up, and turns out like we lived right down the street from each other, and we really hit it off, and we started shooting, and then one thing led to another, and we decided to merge our companies and really relaunch Ladies of Paradise into what it is, or what it's evolved into over the years.
So Southern Oregon is like a huge, like growing Mecca. And so that's where I grew up and where we met. And so as much as we were working in like creative, fashion driven industry, we also she was moving there to open dispensaries. My boyfriend had a farm. I was helping, pull tarps at night on the edge of a mountain. Like we were both like, kind of juggling this fashion industry and then like dipping our toes in cannabis. And we very much so were like, we're not feeling fulfilled anymore, like selling just like, I don't know, just selling products to people basically online, and not having like, I don't know, just not like really meeting people and getting to connect through it. And so Ladies of Paradise in the cannabis industry launched as a blog. And we basically were just spotlighting women in the industry, growers, extractors, dispensary owners, going in and basically dressing them up like crazy princesses and shooting them like doing their jobs. That's like the beginning of our relationship together.
Okay, that's a really cool story, and it's just so interesting how I know this is oversimplifying it, but starting from say like a jewelry company, and then all of a sudden ending up as a creative agency, with your own line of products, but then working with other brands, like it's really cool how that evolved over time.
We really, honestly, something I've really pride ourselves in is like we we aren't like we're down to pivot. We're like if something interests us or we get someone on our team that's really interested in something, like so much of us owning our own businesses was about us being happy genuinely. And so we're like, okay, like let's try this, let's do this. It's really fun to not limit yourself, honestly.
So I was going to ask about this later, but since you brought it up, like at which point do you balance the where you have to have a sustainable business versus like I want to satisfy my near term ego, or just like my I don't know, chasing a rabbit or something like that. Like there's a balance between chasing something and then establishing a foundation of sorts.
You want to go, Jay?
Yeah, I think that we've always just, I mean, just piggybacking off of what Harlee said about just creating a workspace and environment that we want to work in. And, we've all worked different 9-to-5 jobs, retail jobs, and things that we really just didn't feel fulfilled in. And so being able to create a space where we can do everything by our own rules has really motivated us to just keep doing what we're doing and evolve and pivot and change directions and, just do things that make us happy. If, Harlee this year was like, I think, COVID really taught us that, working remotely and can be done. And so, we all like to travel. We like to go places, and we like to really just not be in one place all the time. And so just really navigating our own pathway into being able to do whatever we want to do is really important to us.
Okay. So to step back for a second, one of the many reasons that I want to have you both on is that when I look at your brand versus some other brands, I know you do a lot of different things within cannabis and hemp, and then of course a creative agency, but let's just say just within the hemp industry or the cannabis industry, is that your brand stands out. I mean, there's no doubt that if I looked at a few pictures, I would probably be able to set you apart and say, okay, well, this is Ladies of Paradise versus some other brand. And I don't know if what you would want to call that, whether it's courage or just maybe just savvy branding or marketing, but like it's really neat. And especially now in my world, within hemp specifically, is that it feels like it's almost at a point of commoditization, right? Where there's so many different companies and they start to just sort of look the same. And we have a retail store in front of our manufacturing lab. And so we hear from customers that like, oh, well, why should I buy this one versus the other one? Like it's very challenging to understand why go with one or the other. So over time, as you've gotten into different projects, what has come first? Like, is it the feedback of customers saying like, oh, hey, we want to see this, or just some crazy idea of a project and saying like, well, we have no idea if anybody wants this. We're just going to start it. Like where do you start?
Well, I guess so. Two different answers there. When it comes to doing work for other people, we definitely have our fair share of shoots where it is very generic and we have to really like pull ourselves back. And we, as time has went on, we've really tried to stray away from taking those gigs, because I feel like really where our passion lies and where I think that I don't know, our strongest is in this like really crazy, wild, creative, color aesthetic. But the majority of people that do hire us are looking for something exciting and interesting. And we really love when people let us just take full creative control. Obviously there's a lot of like back and forth with companies being like, I have this vision and like I think you guys can really help this like vision come to life. And so I like to have a lot of creative control, just because I just think we do a good job when we can like just let when we can really like follow our hearts and do whatever we feel is going to look the best. But I don't know, it goes back and forth. But as far as our own products, I feel like we just really try to do what we love, Like Jade and I both are really have loved like really eclectic style and really interesting and unique bright colored pieces. We like to stand out, and we're not scared to just like what we like. And so we wanted to do that with our companies, because we knew that like there's so many people that are literally just not getting marketed to whatsoever, and like a wild woman is not getting marketed to that often. And so it felt really good to us to do that.
That's cool. A wild woman is not getting marketed to. That. That is a brilliant line. I'm gonna take out a clip of just that. So let me read you something that I saw in one of the articles written about you. And this, I think it really helped encapsulate what you do. It's a little long, but I think it's important to read the whole thing. So the thing that I believe makes them so relatable, this was a reporter that spent a day with both of you, I think maybe a couple of years ago, just kind of seeing what you were doing. What's that?
I said Lauren Yoshinko. I already know the line you're reading, and you started it, but good one.
The thing that I believe makes them so relatable and fosters an almost infectious quality is that they're good at getting women to have fun. Women who consume cannabis are a community that includes many introverts who, by fear of social and legal consequences, are reserved homebodies by necessity. It takes time to open up, especially to the point of sharing more controversial habits. But all sorts of women have fun on set and shopping at their space. And then talk about some stuff that you guys do with the camera. And then that not for exposure, not for content, but because it's really, really fun. Is that a fair way to, like, a fair assessment of what you guys do, or why people are so attracted to you?
Oh yeah, I would say so. I would say like literally one of our best qualities has always been like, yeah, like making people feel like they're just like they're our best friend now. Come hang out, like let's get real with each other. Let's like get rid of the surface bullshit and like get into it. And I feel like there's not a lot of that in life right now. Sadly, it's kind of weird. And so I've really always loved that about us, is that we're like, standing here with arms open wide, being like, come play with us.
Yeah, and during the time when she wrote that too, we were doing a lot of cannabis events, and at the time we, that was a big part of our business, was we had quarterly events, and they would be themed. And so we would have like a Cowboys versus Aliens event. Everyone would come out just like dressed to the nines, like decked out as like an alien or as a cowboy. And we would have a DJ, have all different sponsors. We'd have a flower sponsor, a dab sponsor, edibles, like, and it was really something that people really weren't doing. And, we were always just, obviously you go to, house parties, and there's alcohol and there's this, but like, there's nothing really focused on weed. And like, like she said, that a lot of stoners are, stay at home. They don't really, they're kind of homebodies and stuff. And we really encourage people to come out, and with weed being the reason, and bringing all these people together. And so I really like that she said that about us, because it's true. Like, a lot of people just don't really talk about their marijuana consumption, and that they're, I'm a mom who smokes or whatever. And so I think we really gave people a space to come together and share that, common denominator. And people really knew us for our events. And it's kind of sad that we didn't get to throw them, or we haven't done it in a long time, but they'll be back one day.
One day they'll be back.
That's right. And then, so what changed as far as marketing your companies, or your company or companies, with COVID and not being able to hold the events? What have you done differently?
I mean, everything is just virtual now. I mean, like I get to do some photo shoots with people, but it's definitely not to the extent of what it used to be. We did a couple like virtual like crafting events. I'm actually talking to someone right now about doing like this poetry event, like basically where you have like a prompt and you all like write something and then read it to each other, because so much of like what we were trying to do is like connection. And so like I don't know, it's hard with the online things, with the online parties and stuff, because it's just not the same. But so I'm really trying to think about how we can like do things like a poetry reading or something, where we can like smoke weed at our houses and like still be doing something where we feel like we're stepping out on a ledge and being vulnerable with each other and like pushing each other in like that kind of way. So like that's really all I can think to really do with the community aspect. And marketing wise, I mean, just still putting out cool content as best as we can.
Yeah. So you talked a lot about cannabis. Do you think about branding or marketing your hemp products differently?
Um, no, not really. Have you feel like we've marketed differently since?
No, not at all. No, still same old us.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of other people looking for marketing, I think COVID really, was a big blow to a lot of people's, marketing budgets and stuff like that. So we probably, we weren't getting as much work for a while as we were before. And, we're grateful for clients that stuck with us during those hard times. But we really just all of our products have stayed the same. Like we've worked more closely with each other within our team. But yeah, we've had to downsize. We've had to, pivot like everybody else. So, but for the, the same for the vibe of like what we've always gone for, I think that that's stayed pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Something I have wanted to do, and we just did one yesterday, was like marketing kind of like fun outdoor, like, safe things that you can do. And so like yesterday we were doing like a reel, like we bought roller skates and we're like outside and we're roller skating together. And so like still trying to like encourage people to like try new stuff, have fun with your friends, like even though you can't come to a party.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's see if I can figure out how to ask this. So it seems to me like you do a whole bunch of community building, a lot of branding in your own unique voice. For somebody that is constantly thinking about an ROI, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this marketing flyer and I'm printing 500 and I need to get back X amount of dollars. Like, what's different, or how do you think about it differently? Because when you're doing that roller skating event, like, you're probably not thinking about the exact return on dollars that you're getting out of that. Like, so what, why do that, and what's the benefit that you're getting?
So, I mean, something that's been really beneficial to us is like if you make something cool enough, people are going to want to tell other people that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so, like, for us, we've always been very social media heavy. So, like, that's something that's like advice I would really give to people. It's like, what's something that people would want to like brag about, like, and show other people that they're like, this is what I'm up to, this is what I'm doing. It's cool. And so we haven't had any problem really getting people to want to share when they're doing something involved with us, I guess. And so that's okay.
And like just like she was saying, like social media is a big part of who we are and what we do. And so like reels, for example, like her, like them shooting the roller skating reel, like in terms of like ROI, I mean it only benefits us as a business. Like reels right now are getting the most activity on Instagram, and so us as social media girls have to think, okay, it's important for people hire us because of our following. People hire us because we're putting out cool content. And so while it is hard to determine an exact ROI on those, like we have to stay savvy to what's happening in social media world, what people are into, and just stay relevant, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll tell you one thing that not as much of a worry now, just because we're not having as many gatherings, but before, putting on an event was so scary for me because my fear was doing all this work and setting up and saying, hey, come to our store or our place and we're doing X, Y, and Z. And my fear was being the only kid at the party, right? Like nobody's showing up.
That's my fear too, every time.
Oh my God. Always down every time. No one's going to come.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that was key what you were saying, Harlee, that if it's interesting enough that people, maybe in that case, people will want to come, or now that people will want to tell other people about that. Like, how do you, I'm curious if I were to try to extract your thoughts, like, how do you make cool stuff, right? Like, how do you make cool events or?
Cool.
Sorry, what'd you say, Jade?
I said, you can't buy cool. Somebody told us that one time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like Jade and I are lucky enough to, I don't know, be interesting people and to really be like, I'm really into space and aliens and octopus and underwater things and rainbows and just really eccentric stuff. And so like if you're down to be eccentric and like not follow the status quo, like honestly, there have been times where we are brainstorming as a group, like, oh, what events should we throw? And it's like, what's the craziest things that you can think of? You know, it's like really trying to think like not what everyone's doing and like playing it safe, but like really trying to think of like something that would be crazy or would be like a shocking thing. Like shock value, I feel like is, you know, important.
Yeah.
And we do things too. I just had like a little flashback of like before we would have events, you know, and we'd all have a brainstorming session on like, okay, what's the theme? And so before you know, everybody would get their tickets and everybody would be, you know, all excited about the event. And then we'd put out like a wardrobe, like costume idea like thing. And so like we would just like put out all these like Pinterest, like different story, like pictures of like different things that you should wear to the event. Like we had a British invasion party. And so we're like, how do we really get people to, you know what to wear? And so we just started posting of like Spice Girls, or you could be, you know, the Beatles, or all these different things. And so yeah, like just really kind of inspiring people based on like what we think is cool. Like, hey, show up to our party like wearing this, and like you'll be good.
All right, cool. I love that. So it's in a way, I mean, well, I guess you guys are saying it's like be yourself, you know, all the crazy things that you're interested in, and just put it forward and just see what the reaction is or what the feedback is. Yeah.
I think you really can't go wrong with like with doing what you really think is great. I feel like it usually works out pretty good. Don't mark my words on that, because I'm sure some people are just weird stuff that like might not fly, but like as a general rule.
I don't know, just by looking over all the subreddits, like there's a niche for pretty much everything. So.
For sure.
So you mentioned something earlier about the certain people not being marketed to. Do you have any thoughts about any other folks within cannabis or within hemp that are not being marketed to properly or in an honorable way?
Yeah, I mean, or Jade, do you want to go or?
I think that our like Harlee said, with just marketing to like Lady J's isn't only for ladies too. Like I feel like we have done a good job of including like the queer community, LGBTQ plus, you know, like all of that. Like, and I think that there aren't a whole lot of brands out there that do that. And so I think our brand's cool because it is marketed towards women, but it's also just marketed towards people who are who feel comfortable being themselves, and you know, in whatever fashion that may be. But I don't know, as far as people that I would think that would be my only thing of people who probably aren't being marketed to enough, but we've got them covered. So
I feel like the grand majority of all marketing is way too broad, and everyone's trying to like market towards everyone and put everyone in a box. And I think that that's what is honestly so wrong about the majority of marketing is it's like, why are you not trying to market towards like your type of people in your like in your family or your community? Everyone's just trying to go way too broad. Like you can't put everyone in a box together. So I feel like there's this, I don't know, there's like this clinical, simple, you know, medicinal marketing aspect that I feel like a lot of hemp pushes. But like, I don't know, if you want to really speak to people, like niche marketing, I think is cool.
Yeah. I heard somebody say the other day that in order to be noticed, that you have to be almost like on the edge of controversy, like almost like right at the precipice, so that you know, like just enough people saying, "Oh, that's not right," but that the people that you're trying to attract, that they're like, "Wow, that's really cool. That's really interesting."
Exactly. I agree with that.
All right. So let's see. With if you have somebody coming to you and they say, "Hey, we're in the," just again talking about my world, we're in hemp, and we feel like we don't have anything different to say. Like, how do you try to extract those things from a client so that you know they sort of fit more with your mindset instead of just looking like everybody else?
I would say it starts with like that. Like I'm a really big believer with branding. Like some people don't want to do this at all, so it might not be for everyone. But like looking at yourself as a person, and so like I always like to ask specific questions. It's like, okay, if you're gonna have this brand for the next 10 years and you don't want to get bored of it, it's like, what do you believe? What's in the core root of like you as a person? Not like a trend that's going on. Like it's like, who are you and what do you believe? And I yeah, and then I think we go from there because once we have like a core mission going, you could think of clever, cool sayings to make that more attractive. But at the end of the day, like what your core mission is like crucial.
Are you are you a data nerd, or do you feel more like that's intuition of saying like, oh well, here's who you are, and here are the things that you're trying to say, and here's what your company does, and so let's put that out there, or do you say, okay, well, let's take that information, and then does anybody want that right now, or like do you blend data along with that?
I would say the first.
Okay,
I would
all
say
right.
like yeah, because I think it is. I mean, I really like to work with clients that are staying specific to like I don't know
And
who they are
yeah.
instead of being like we have an idea who wants to buy this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool.
It's also too like if we have an idea that's specifically ours, we're probably gonna start a brand over it or whatever, you know.
Jade, sorry, what were you saying?
And just like that, we probably typically don't like to work with people who are like, oh, I'm starting this hemp company just because hemp's where the money's at. And, you know, like, I don't really know what, like, you know, we like to work with people who have stories and who, you know, we can help them tell their story,
Yeah.
not just somebody who's in it to, you know, make a buck.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, um, with Harlee's still on. Okay, good. So thinking about the hemp industry, so you're a businesswoman. You've done a lot of different businesses and different things in cannabis and hemp. Where do you see the hemp industry going in the next, I don't know, year or two? Like, what kinds of things do you see coming down the line?
I would think that right now, since cannabis is still illegal, I think that hemp is kind of what people are excited about, especially in states that cannabis is still illegal. And so I think that CBD and hemp is kind of like, you know, giving everybody, gets everybody excited. It looks like weed. It smells like weed. It makes you feel, you know, kind of similar. You know, it's just basically like a good way to like get everybody excited about what's to come, because I think that national legalization is coming. And you know, just like we found with, you know, we have Lady J's THC in dispensaries here in Oregon, and then we also have our hemp CBD Lady J's, which we sell everywhere. And so for us, like our goal is to push the brand into all these different states using our hemp products, so that people are know who we are, and like by the time that national legalization comes over, we're a name that we're a brand that people want to buy. They already know who we are. And so yeah, I think that it's kind of acting as like the introduction to cannabis eventually. And then what we found in states where cannabis is legal, hemp kind of dies off. CBD is not as popular because now THC moved in and people want to inevitably get high for the most part. I mean, but then there's still a market that doesn't want to as well. So yeah, I think it's a big deal right now. I think the farm bill passing and everything really got people excited, but I think that'll probably fizzle, like, and you know, people will be excited about the next thing, mushrooms or whatever you know, like whatever comes next.
Right. Yeah, especially you guys being out west with all the psychedelics and some of those legislations happening.
Another thing that I really hope to see is just like the industrial hemp industry like blowing up, and like us using hemp plastics instead of regular plastics. Like that is so exciting to me. Like we literally can make anything out of hemp, and like it's biodegradable. Like it's just like that I see being such a huge industry, and just and honestly like just so helpful and wonderful. So I hope that that's what happens.
Yeah, I've been trying to dig into that, and I can't find anybody that's an expert in that. Just because over the years I've heard so many promises of, you know, industrial hemp is going to solve. You know, we're going to create homes out of it. We're going to make, you know, straws and containers and clothing and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like the number of people that are in it are very limited, or at least that want to talk about it.
Yeah,
So,
we went to Texas and were involved with a group of people that were I don't know, feel like they're going to probably be like industry leaders and really like pushing forward in it. And I think it's just a matter of time. I
yeah.
think that like some states didn't want to touch it for a little bit, and it's just been like a controversial thing, especially with people with really big money. And that's like what is going to need to happen for that to like really push forward. And so I see it on the horizon. I mean, like, we honestly have no choice. Like, the plastic issue in the world is insane, and this is like a really, really great opportunity to like.
Yeah. Um, so I just recently learned about liquid death. Have you guys seen that?
No.
No? Oh man, this is right up your alley. So it's water, and it comes in an aluminum can, and it's either still or it's carbonated, and I forget how much it is, but one can costs about $4 or $5, and it's not. I mean, it's special in the sense that it comes from a mountain somewhere. I have no idea where it is, but they sell the product just based on the brand, and it's liquid death. Almost like it looks like you're going into a tattoo shop and like skulls and bones and like just really crazy, insane stuff. I'll shoot it over afterwards because it seems like it's just right up your alley. They even have a spoof video that let's see, they show basically the underworld and like demons and whatnot, and they're complaining that the plastic pollution has even entered their world, and so like they show plastic like raining down from some like hole in the sky. Yeah. And so apparently they've been doing really well based on like not just that in the fact that they're selling water, but just that they're selling the brand and that they donate a good portion of their proceeds to like cleanup and environmental factors.
Okay, yeah, this is right up my alley. I'm all about this. It's like, it's so crazy to me, like, that people that like the richest people in the world that are, owning these massive, massive companies don't think like, hey, maybe we should just come out with a boxed water and like that could be the new Dasani. Like, it's just like, oh, it's crazy. It's all these like little people trying to like make a difference. I could rant about this forever, so I'll stop.
Yeah, no, that's I hear you. All right, so let's see. If all right, so one of the benefits of coming onto the podcast is that you get a proverbial $1 million, right? So if you got this money, let's say monopoly money, and you had to invest it in either a company or an industry related to cannabis or hemp, what would you put that money into?
I personally think that I would invest in industrial hemp. Like, I have a
You're all about
huge,
it.
I love the ocean so much. And like, have you heard of like Garbage Island? And it's like
Yeah.
literally like, yeah, and it's like the size of fucking Russia. Like, it's just insane to me. And so like I feel like there are so many issues that are at the edge of my heart, but like, if our planet gets, if we go too far down the rabbit hole, like, who knows if there's coming back. And so that's what I would want to invest my money into. It's like literally lobbying for plastics to be illegal to create and have hemp plastics basically take over.
Yeah. Okay. Jade?
Myself, I just want to reinvest into Lady J's and open more brands.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly
Well,
acceptable. Cool.
Harlee and I, we own 100% of our business, and we have never taken on investment. We're really proud of that. And not that we haven't had opportunities for that before, but we really wanted to be
Grind it out.
Yeah, and so I don't know. If I had a proverbial $1 million, I would just it'd
Put
be
it back
like,
in the
all right.
business. Cool. So definitely, you're a believer in your own company, so that's a good thing.
I think so.
All right. So then let's see. Just starting to wrap up here before the hour is up. Um, any other big topics that you guys want to get across? Like, Harlee, you just talked about just environmental factors that you're really passionate about. Anything else within cannabis or hemp that like you really want people to understand or to grasp?
Well, I would say that I see you in your CBD store, and I know that you don't sell Lady J's, so that we need some samples sent your way, and you need. Yes, I don't
Let's
think
do it.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll have to send me.
And obviously this has been a huge topic this year and it's been amazing, but just social justice and people really understanding like how absolutely awful the war on drugs has been to communities of color, and how like as wealthy or non-wealthy even, but just like being a white person that's been like everything just handed down to you, that you really do need to like see where you are there and try to, I don't know, try to make a difference and not just be like, oh, it's not my problem, because we're really, really lucky that like we get to work in this industry and that it's legal and that like I'm not in jail right now. And so I think that that's at the forefront of what people should be thinking about in this industry right now as well.
I just learned that Virginia passed legislation to approve recreational cannabis. And I guess it's the first southern state that's doing that. And they have a pretty big portion of their bill is some sort of a social justice type of, part of it. So it seems like states are learning, or they're becoming aware of what needs to happen.
Exactly. It seems like it's like starting to be like people are starting to be like, oh, duh. Like, because I feel like even like, I don't know, 2 years ago, we had this event called Conversations, and it was amazing. We still have a girl on our team. It was all her idea, and she blew my mind. Like I didn't even understand, and it just seems so obvious, but it's like it's not obvious. And so I don't know. I feel like we're getting to a good point where people are like really talking about it and expecting that it's like, hey, like if you're in this industry, like, and you're just not paying attention to it at all, you're an asshole. Like, so yeah.
Like to do our part and give back and take and just take opportunities where we can give back, like we did a BLM blend during the George Floyd or that whole thing. Like we really like to use our company to and whatever, and we weren't making a lot of money at the time either, but we're like, anything that we can do to help give to this cause, like we're all for. We like to stay active and stuff like that.
It was really cool, actually. We so since we're like marketing, we have like, at the end of like a $30 pack, there's like 6 different companies that make their like money on it, basically. And it was really awesome. Everyone agreed to give up 100% of their proceeds all the way down the chain. And so it was really amazing. We ended up raising like nearly $20,000 for this company, Last Prisoner Project. And so it was cool.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty amazing. Last Prisoner Project keeps coming up, and I'd love to get a hold of someone there.
Zoe.
They're doing a lot. Zoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to her. All right, ladies. Let's see. So I'm sure that after this, somebody's going to want to learn more about you, maybe reach out. How should they do that? Where should they go?
All of our Instagrams, let's see, we're Ladies of Paradise is a creative agency. Smoke Lady J's is our joint company. And then my personal is my name, Harlee Case.
And mine's Hey Jade, hey.
All right, cool. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes. So I think there's a decent amount of information out there, but I think I just want to talk to you personally, just to understand a little bit, just directly about kind of how you got here. And you have a really cool story, and hope nothing but success to both of you ladies. It seems like you have a unique voice that needs to be out there. So thank you guys for doing that.
Thank you so much. I had a good time.
Yeah, awesome. See you guys later. Have a great day.
Bye.
Hey guys, and before you go, this is Jason from Spectrum Labs. Please be sure to visit us on the web at thespectrumlabs.com for any show notes and links discussed in the podcast. Also, remember to click the subscribe button wherever you may be listening from so you get notified when our next episode comes out. And tune in next show and have a fantastic day.